Well, Russ of the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. It is match day and it's live as West Ham take on Man United at Old Trafford in a couple of short hours' time. Join Anton for the watch along. I can need a result, don't we? Let's be honest. Particularly with Brighton at the weekend. And Leeds not doing us a favour, or Chelsea not doing us a favour last night. Unbelievable. Don't forget also, if you want a VPN. Got a VPN to be able to watch them on weird sites, different places, and protect your security and all that type of stuff. Our friends at ipVanish are giving you 83% off. That's only 17%. QR code there. We'll have it throughout the video. But our friends at ipVanish are working with all through December and January. So yeah, show them some love. Much appreciated. I know a few of you have been taking advantage of that fantastic deal. But if you can, if you want a VPN, maybe go on holiday. I'm going on my holidays. Just over 4 weeks. 7, 14, 20. Just over 4 weeks. I'm going on my holidays over the New Year's period. Going to New York City, baby. So I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, regardless of that, let's talk about the game in a few hours' time. What we try and do a few hours before, if anyone new to the channel, if you're new, thanks for joining us, is we try and predict the starting 11, which is always a little bit tricky. Because Nuno likes to tinker, doesn't he? Nuno likes to tinker. We haven't had a very good hit rate at all. Now, from a team news perspective, we know that obviously Ollie Scholes is still out. We know 𝗪𝗟𝗣𝗑𝗧𝗧 is still out, of course. Lucas Fabianski, although it's not really affecting the number one spot, looks like his back still giving a bit of jip. At the press conference, Nunes on Tuesday, Nuno Espirito Santo said, or Santa. Nuno Espirito 𝗧𝗧, as I've got a jumper already made up of him, said that Somerville was still a little bit away. Obviously, we welcome back ��𝗟𝗟𝗡𝗧 for the last game. Niclas Füllkrug was the last game. So, apart from that, apart from basically Paqueta, Scholes, Fabianski, and Somerville, everyone should be available. And that's the issue. Everyone should be available. So we don't necessarily. And also, he did say something about. He said something about a couple of knocks and stuff, but we haven't heard any news about anything that would suggest otherwise. And also, yesterday, West Ham under-21s, or sort of under-21/18s hybrid, played in the first round of the Premier League Invitational Cup, lost 4-0 against Athletic Bilbao. It was freezing. But what was quite interesting was the lack of under-21s in the squad, lack of pathway under-21s, I'm going to call it. So there was no 𝗪𝗟𝗟𝗍𝗪, who's the captain. There was no Ezra Mayers. There was no 𝗪𝗟𝗍𝗪𝗍. There was no Mohamedou Kante, which Anton did a video about earlier this morning. There was no 𝗪𝗟𝗟𝗧𝗏. There was no Callum Marshall as well. Josh Landers was on the. I think he had a knock. He was there at the game, but so I would assume a number of them will be, and obviously the Finn Herrick wasn't playing, because he's now with the first team. And I think a number of them will probably be in and around the match day squad today. Whether that starts, I don't think it will. But I think there'll be a few of them on the bench. So I don't necessarily see 𝗪𝗟𝗟𝗧𝗏 coming in and being the Lucas Paqueta, because I don't think he's the right person for that, in all honesty. And I think realistically, I think we're going to go back to a back three. I know, but I think we might go back to a back three. And the reason is, I just think we just need that something. I don't know. I just think with a back four, we could do it. We'll do it a couple of times. I think we're going to go for back three personally, because he sort of alludes to the fact that Max was not necessarily dropped, but was sort of given the weekend off type thing, and he'll be back in. I could assume he'll be back in, but if we went for a back three, let's do a back three and we'll do a back four, and you can give me your opinions. So I think the back three would be him, and him. No Igor Tudor for me. With Diouf on left wing back and Wan-Bissaka on the right wing back. Now, anyone who watches when we sort of analyse the game afterwards, one of the real issues we've had the last couple of weeks, particularly with Somerville being off, is the predictability of that left hand side. In that everything was going down the right hand side, where before we had Somerville, so if it was quite even between the left side and the right side, it's quite clear with West Ham at the moment, without Somerville playing, you stop that right hand side, and that's pretty much the supply. Yes, Diouf might get in there, but it was half as likely. I think he had like 40, it's usually about 40% down that left hand side in terms of attacking. It's been like 25% last few games that Somerville's been out because there's been no overlap options. So I think Potts. I would like this. I would like this as a 3 today tonight. So with or maybe more like a this, to be honest, because that's what he tends to do with Lucas. Puts him there, something like that. It's almost a 4-3-3, but these are really, to be honest, it's almost like this. It's almost like your double pivot type thing. And then Diouf can push up a little bit more, and Wan-Bissaka, or even they can tuck in and put Potts. Yeah, there's loads. So I could see that happening. I could also see. I thought Mak had a good game actually, but I could see him bringing in someone like Tommy Souček just for that bit of oomph. Sort of another 6'4" centre half. Man United, in particular, similar to us, but Man United aren't very good at set pieces. Although we were pretty poor the other day, to be honest. But having someone like Souček in at both ends does help. And I think it's going to be a real game of attrition tonight. I think we could shithouse a draw. I think tonight. And that wouldn't be a bad point if it wasn't for Chelsea losing yesterday. Because obviously that puts us in the bottom 3, and then we go to Brighton as well. Although Brighton didn't have a great game yesterday either. So that could be the back 3 option. If they went for a back 4, I personally I would like them to give 𝗪𝗟𝗟𝗓𝗓 another go. But I don't know if they will, to be honest. I mean, if you're going for back 4, then I thought no, 𝗪𝗏𝗣𝗍 played the left-hand side, really, and Mav played that side. I thought Mav played quite well, actually. And I can hear my brother going, what the fuck? But yeah, I thought he did. I thought he's been our most consistent central defender we've had this season, really. And then I'd stick with the 3 in midfield. I'd stick with the 3 we had yesterday on whenever it was, days blowing into it, Sunday. With Fernandez, Mak and Potts. I really like that as a 3. Actually, I'd prefer, if we could, just to do it like that. What I like about that midfield is they all love a tackle, and it's something that I've realised the last few days. That old school like sliding tackle, and Fernandez likes to dish out a little bit, but Potts particularly really likes a tackle, really imposing, and that was like what I saw yesterday for the under-21s. There's a few. I thought we were quite nasty, the under-21s perspective. We were giving away professional fouls, and we were like putting some really strong challenges in, and I really enjoyed that because that really sort of. They're fair, but they're strong. And then that instantly gets the other opposition's back up. And, you've got to think with Man United, the likes of Bruno Fernandes, people like that, they've still got that petulant side to them that if you could exploit, makes a massive difference because their head gets turned and their head goes. As we know with Lucas Paqueta, they've got those combustible people as well. And then what I would do is I would do Bowen, I would do Guilherme, 2 Fernandezes, and then Callum there, sort of in essence a 4-3-2-1. You could, if you wanted to, I would be nice, I think, to push maybe Fernandez up there, and then sort of double pivot there. It's pretty much playing with the same thing. It's just Kilman for Guilherme, really. It's the only difference. Would he put George Earthy in instead of Guilherme? I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, to be honest, I would personally, and I'm not necessarily his biggest fan, but in terms of the job I think he could do, I would put Callum Marshall there instead of Guilherme. I just think he's not a natural left-sided player, but what he does have is an engine which doesn't stop running, and he literally would batter that. He's a really fucking annoying player. He's the type of player who you would hate to, if he was a defender, you would hate to be up against, because he don't stop yapping, he don't stop pressing, and I think we need a bit of energy there, because no disrespect to Callum, he's a great striker, but he literally will stay there. He won't won't sort of move. Yeah, he won't play the channels and allow people like Bowen to cut inside. He won't. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why Bowen hasn't been as effective as recent. And in fact, myself and Statman Ben are going to sit down probably over the weekend and he's looked at some stats about Bowen with his captaincy. But I think that's one of the main reasons as well. We're not playing with a striker who runs the channels. And I think someone like Callum Marshall would run the channels. So, you could have, where is he? Let's bring him in. Let's bring Callum Marshall. There we go. So, he could, but he hasn't, but he could play in that position there. And then by doing that, what he would do would be to, he would definitely run those channels. And he would be able to, he would annoy defenders there. And he is a natural goal scorer. I just don't think he fits really well as a target man or as a guy on his own. I know he plays like that for the under-21s. However, he's playing against under-21s, and to be honest, the likes of Josh Ajala are pretty much quite close to him, and George Earthy, and they're almost playing as a 2, to be fair, or a 3. So he is, Callum Wilson is very isolated. Callum Wilson is very isolated when he's playing in this position. And Nicholas Fulkrug and, whoever comes in, hopefully in the summer, in January, will be able to do the same thing. They do get very isolated. I don't think that would suit someone like Callum Marshall, personally. But anyway, what do you think? Give me your predicted 11s, and we'll see how close none of us are to them. Anyway, don't forget to check out IP Vanish as well, just above my head. And download the QR code to get your VPNs 83% off, and join Anton for the watch along a bit later on. Hopefully I'll be back in time to do the review show afterwards and to review a victory for the Mighty Hammers or something like that. Anyway, take care, stay safe, see you soon. Peace out, mofos.